Good afternoon here, and this is the Jimmy Palumbo Show, and I'm your host, Jimmy Palumbo, coming to you from downtown Mahwah, New Jersey. But of course, I'm also technically coming from downtown Mattawan because I've got Chris Gucci behind the glass. Chris, welcome aboard. What's happening?
Good to be here, Jimmy. How we doing?
We're doing
Your
okay.
Giants are 2-0. I'm back
right.
on victory. It's
You're back
Victory
on-
Monday. I know
we're
that
gonna-
this is going out. Is this going out today? Yeah, right. So
Yeah, we're
Victory
going live,
Monday,
as far as I know.
beautiful thing. Victory Monday. I'm happy to be here. Good
There
day
you go.
over here at Shop Sports today.
All righty. Well, this is show number 80. And I think on paper, now we can have an argument with this. This might be the best number. Well, there's no Yankee who wore number 80. And let me tell you something. I learned something that I think I'm going to have a senior moment now. I think I knew what I'm about to tell you, but I just forgot. You ever do that? Like growing up with my dad, how can I not know this? Now, you know that the Yankees were the first team to regularly wear numbers. They started it, and then little by little teams did it, but some teams did it for like a month, a season.
I do, and it
Did
was
you know
because
that?
the reason why they're all single digits is because they were just the bat where they
Number
batted in
one
the
led
line.
off. Yeah, that's
where
why
they were in
Garrett
the
was
lineup.
4, Ruth was 3. And I knew like the 27 Yankees didn't have. That's why when you see like these vintage shirts that say 27 Yankees and they got the number on the back.
That's the classic case of one of those. You forgot more things than you knew. Where you're
right.
so old.
So I learned. So there is no Yankees. So I had to go. I was first of all, I was crying at some of the people. I just for my buddy Venditti, we can't mention number 80 on the Giants unless we mention Phil Tabor, who was
Oh
a
goodness.
player on the Giants, which I also learned he had an identical twin. How crazy is that? That must have happened before. He was an identical twin. He played with the Giants. I think he played 5 years in the NFL, but his identical twin played like 1 or 2 years with the Bears. I think that's pretty cool. But Phil Tabor is a shitty Giant from back in the day. And there's like Emery Moorhead for anybody older than me. I could have mentioned, Victor Cruz, and the salsa thing and all that. He's still working for the Giants now. But I was really laughing at, first of all, obviously, technically the best player. You could argue, like I say, Lawrence Taylor is the best NFL player of all time. And I can be in that argument. Well, Jerry Rice, number 80, you could say he was the greatest NFL player of all time, and you can get in that argument. But there's also like Kenny Lofton and Kellen Winslow and Steve Largent, Isaac Bruce. There's some heavy number 80s. I didn't check into NBA because I figured I don't think there's anybody great.
There's not too many that go up that high.
Right. So I just think overall there's a lot of, and I'm going to go with my guy who wasn't a great player, but he's a player that everybody kind of remembers if you're in my age bracket. And that is number 80 for the 86 football Giants are on the air, Phil McConkey. Now, Phil McConkey, a couple things that I love researching this stuff because you forget like, oh, that's right. Number one, he wasn't a great player, but he was tough. He was a Parcells kind of guy, and he ran back punts and kickoffs and stuff like that. And he was a heady receiver. He caught some of those
and
balls
he's a
over
Super
the
Bowl champion.
Super Bowl champ, all that. But what I didn't know is he played for Navy, okay? And he played the 4 years there, and he sat out the 4 years. So he didn't come to the NFL till he was 27. But also, Bill Belichick's dad was a scout and involved with the Navy program. And he went up to him and said, hey, what can I do? And then Bill Belichick had just been named defensive coordinator, blah, 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 blah. And, he was able to get a tryout, and he made the team. But he was also the first Navy player to do the 4 years in and then 4 years service since Roger Staubach. So that's pretty cool that he actually, did the 4 and 4. That's why he was an older guy, 26, 27. And I learned the weird stuff you learn online. While he was running off the field during the Super Bowl after they won, he found a gun on the ground. How crazy is this? And he gave it to a security guard. A gun fell off. Could you imagine if that happened today? The stadium would be cleared out. There would be arguments on Fox and CNN about gun control. McConkey picked it up, gave it to the security guard. Hey, someone dropped a gun. Like, I find that crazy.
That's incredible.
Isn't that nuts?
That might be the craziest story that I've never heard about sports in my life.
Think about if that happened now. Like, I don't know, name like a B wide receiver after the Super Bowl and all that stuff and the fireworks. And all of a sudden, like, hey, someone
talk about
dropped
a weird
gun.
fact.
And
right
how
there.
about the
somebody
cop?
dropped? How do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
What
well,
how
first
do
of
you
all, if you're the
drop your
cop,
gun and
if
you
you're the
drop your
cop and
gun?
you're the security, you got to take a beating for that, right? Like, dude, you got to remember, you know how the Super Bowls end. There's people all over. You can't. You know what it is? I think that that cop is the Ernest Biner of cops. You have to agree with that. Perfect label, right?
Yeah, it's like you
You
got
can't
one job.
fumble
Well,
at the Super
you
Bowl.
got one job, and that's to keep people safe. And the other thing that should be a given is you don't drop your gun
No, you just can't drop your gun, right?
at the
Anyway,
Super Bowl.
so that's Phil McConkey. He had a couple of big catches in the Super Bowl that people remember. From all intents, I think I heard about him. He's a great guy. Ran for senator, House of Representatives, got beat in a really close race. Lives out in San Diego, and he played for the Chargers and Cardinals. I forgot about too. I thought he retired a Giant. By the way, he was only like 160 pounds when he tried out for the Giants, which is nuts. Anyway, so Phil McConkey is my number 80. Now, who do you have?
So real quick, just to touch on Phil McConkey, that is the first NFL or pro athlete in general that I ever met and got an autograph from personally at Nobody
Okay.
Beats the Wiz. My mother took me there, and the other guy that was there was a New York Met at the time, Lenny Dykstra. So it was Phil McConkey and Lenny Dykstra.
That's
Autograph. So
two very
brought
different
me
personalities.
way different personalities, but at the same time, they played a very similar style of play where they were both gritty players. So that's kind of one thing. But my guy, I can't believe you didn't mention him. Thank you for not, because we didn't even talk about this. Donald Driver, bro. The Jerry Rice is the best number at 80, clearly bar none. But
right.
Donald Driver holds a special place in my heart. He is my number one, by far, numero uno favorite Packer of all time.
You know, I would have mentioned
non-quarterbacks.
Well, sometimes when I see a Packer, I don't really mention because I don't want to.
You leave the opening for me. It's
but
like
I didn't even see
that.
I didn't see it. I did not see his name. Which I mean, maybe I skipped over it. Might have think he was, talking about Donald Sutherland or something like that. Somebody just drove off the road. But okay, well, listen. Bottom line is, we're going with Phil McConkey and Donald Driver for number 80. 80 was a good one. I think we're going to have a nice little run in the 80s. The next 10 weeks are going to be fun.
Definitely going to have a nice run in the 80s. Happy to be out of the lineman numbers, but number 12 is definitely the number one number by far. Think of all the quarterbacks that are.
Of course.
It's 12, then 80's close.
But 80's definitely up there. But maybe there's other numbers yet in the 80s we don't realize. We'll have fun as we go along. So that's it. Okay, number 80, McConkey and Driver. Now, of course, my Patreon, I feel it's very important that I rattle off. Please go to the patreon.com and sign up and support this show if you like it. If you don't, that's okay. But I just want to rattle off, you got Alex Tetzena, my sister, Mike DeMosi, my mom, my cousin Joey, Rob Pastor from Kappa Sig, James Kanowitz, Jimmy Riccardi, my nephew, John Henry Riccardi, my nephew, getting involved from Los Angeles. I got people, Eric Palumbo, my nephew, Mike Caprio of cornholelevel.com fame, my brother Frank, and of course, Daryl Clark from Louisiana. So I got let's see, I got Jersey. I have New York. I have LA. I have Austin, Texas, and Louisiana, and Fort Myers, Florida, which my brother lives now, officially. So that's that. So those are my Patreon. Please go. And also, you know what? Listen, you got to go to my Instagram, TikTok, trying to grow everything. I gotta act like it's 2022 and grow all this Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon. Make it happen. Now, before we get into Absolute Eyewear getting involved, I just want to know, how did a big thing happen today? Chris Gucci and Dave Sturcio did their first show on the Mojo app, which I assume you just get an app on the phone called Mojo and then search for, what's the actual name of your show?
The Mojo Market Report. It's a morning show that's going to be going out at 9:30 a.m. Monday through Friday on the Mojo YouTube channel. So today was a pretty cool experience to be a part of this whole thing, because the product is actually launching today on the launch of our show. So we're romantically connected to this product for all of time. I mean, they can never take that away. So I'm happy about that.
So you and Dave are the Susan Waldman
and
of
John
Mojo
Sterling.
app.
Yes.
Anybody? No, because Susan Waldman, I think, was the first voice you heard on WFAN.
Oh, really?
When it switched over, yes. So your new nickname now is the Susan Waldman Show.
It's an exciting time. I was watching the Yahoo Finance channel today and watching the the guy that I held a meeting with a week ago, sitting there being interviewed on Yahoo Finance, talking about the product that I was able to talk about today. So it's exciting times. The Twitter is kind of blowing up a little bit. It's new to me, but it's fun. Got to admit.
It's great, man. You guys are going to do a great job, and everybody go check that out. I did not check it out yet. I checked out your little, you sent me a sample of what you guys were doing last week. I thought it looked good. Thought the graphics looked good. And listen, I used to bitch and moan on your daily show. Sometimes you guys would get into the minutia of the NFL. Of course, I think the NFL stinks now, even though I'm a Giant fan. And you guys would always be talking about players like, oh my God, who cares? But you know what? It turns out that people do care. Of course, I'm an old man. And this is really in your will. You guys know your stuff. You know these players. You know the whole fantasy.
There's a lot of nuances of this that are directly related to fantasy football, and then there's nuances that are related to the stock market. And really, it's the best way you could put it is, how would you feel about being able to invest in Lawrence Taylor's career as a rookie? You know, you put some, just like you would in Apple or something else. It's just a wonderful product for sports fans and fun, man. Had some fun with it yesterday.
Could be a big deal, and I hope it is for you guys. So,
and it's owned by A-Rod. A-Rod.
And it's
gotta mention A-Rod.
A-Rod, yes. Who's the greatest Yankee of all time? Everybody loves A-Rod. There's a new sitcom called Everybody Loves A-Rod. Listen, I can't bust A-Rod's balls. You guys, he's the man now. He's your boss, bro. So, hey, listen. Anytime you're involved with any kind of big player like that, that's awesome. That's where you want to be, and it'll get a lot of buzz because of A-Rod, and that's cool. So, all right, we're moving on now to the my weight thing. Now, I'm going to come right out and just say I only lost a half a pound. And I think that's pretty good because I didn't have a great week. Did play some pickleball, got a lot of my exercise in. But this weight thing is sponsored by Absolute Eyewear. That's right. 42 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey, 732-326-3937. They are opticians. It's owned by Craig and Janine Michaud, who are huge fans of Chop Sports and the Jimmy Palumbo Show. Family owned, brother and sister. He's my right center fielder for my softball team. She was a better softball player. I love busting his chops there. They got everything over there. They got full service optical stuff, prescription eyewear, prescription sunglasses. They got safety glasses, sports glasses, glasses for the kids getting involved. They got contacts. They got eye exams. They got all kinds of stuff over there. $100 off a complete pair if you go check them out. But you got to mention my show, and you got to get a complete pair, which means two. They've been in business, I think, 18 years now. They're open 5 days a week. They're closed on Wednesday. Why are they closed, Chris?
That would be softball, of course.
And why are they closed on Sundays?
Because of football Sundays, the 2-0 Giants. Look at that.
That's right. We're going to get to that in just a second. Go check them out. They also have, and I love to do this, my little Bob Shepard. The following sunglasses are available at Absolute Eyewear: Ray-Ban, Coach, Ralph Lauren, Dave Sturgio's favorite, Jimmy Choo, Silhouette, Michael Kors, Vogue, Maui Jim, Costa Del Mar, and Oakley, not Charles Oakley. So that's it. Those are the names. Go check them out. And the best thing about this place, Chris, when you leave there with a nice pair of glasses, you don't feel like a jerk off. I think that's the best advertising slogan of all time. Because whenever you buy something retail now, you leave, you always feel like a jackass. When you leave here, you don't feel like a jerk off. They're great people. Go get some glasses. Check it out. Everybody knows who they are. In downtown Woodbridge, 42 Main Street, 732-326-3937. Give them a call. Now, the weight situation, like I said, went from 197.5 to 197. I actually ate a little bit this morning, so it's accurate. It's in there. I don't feel like going into detail. We tried to lose 1.5 pounds a week, but I said last week I may not always do it, but it gives us something to talk about. And to be honest with you, the one thing about this weight thing, I've been hovering in this 196 to 199 area for way too long. Say I think if I didn't do this, I think I'd be like 215 right now.
I was going to say 100%. You're holding yourself accountable.
Every time I eat now, I go, give me mustard instead of the mayo. I'll get a light beer. I've been laying off the IPAs. But still need to get better, and I will.
Can I ask you a question about your eating habits? Or
late at nights what kills me.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm doing a lot better right now. Honestly, since we had our original conversation about weight, and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of a little out of shape myself. I've done very well. So I'm happy about that. It's more or less stress. I'm just like, but that's another story altogether. But what time do you start eating in the morning?
I don't eat in the morning. I very little. Sometimes right around, like before the show, about an hour ago, I nibbled on something. So, I know people. I get mixed reviews on that. I don't. We can go into this crazy diet. Some people
We
say
won't.
not to eat till 2:00.
I think you should try it. I think that those extra
I
2
usually,
hours,
it
those
could
extra 2
be,
hours
but
will
I've done
close
that,
you
dude.
off a little bit. Yeah,
My
I'm sure
problem
you
is,
have.
what I had. You know what? My daughter left Lucky Charms this weekend, and there was a box of Lucky Charms. I'm watching TV. I'm
That's
watching
not
Game of
fair.
Thrones.
That's not even right.
And it's not fair. So I shoved my hand in the box. I'm eating Lucky Charms at 9:00 at night. But anyway, that's it. So I lost a half a pound, hanging in there. We'll see what happens. Now, we got to talk. My Scarlet Knights. I'm wearing the jersey only because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to wear this jersey. Maybe only 5 more days, 6 more days. Rutgers is 3-0. They were 3-0 last year, and now they're 3-0 again this year. So I got to give a little credit to Schiano taking care of business against the teams he's supposed to beat. This game Saturday was rough for me. Couple of things. Number one, zero offensive TDs. They only had 200 yards total offense, only 59 passing yards. They had 4 3-and-outs. Pretty much Rutgers has no touchdown passes against an FBS opponent since like last October, 8 games in a row. That's a lot. They just don't have a passing game. They don't have the receivers don't look great. Their quarterback situation shaky. Wimsack got hurt in the first quarter. We don't know his situation yet. Simon did okay on the short balls that managed the game thing. Clearly they need Vedral. And also they could have had, Wimsatt in the game to him get better. But you know what? Look, I also think, and I know, Chris, you're not a huge fan of college football, but everywhere you read, they had Temple as the worst college FBS team in the country. Okay, I watched the game. I don't think the experts got this one right. I've watched Rutgers play. I know what it's like to be the worst team in the country. I don't think Temple is the worst team in the country. I think Temple played hard. I think they got Kurt Warner's kid at quarterback. We put some pressure on them. Our defense is pretty good. We can bring some pressure. I just don't think that's not the worst Division I.
Well,
team
I think when you look at it as he's a first-year head coach this year.
He's got a new head coach, new regime.
I think that's what it is. They were so bad last year, and there's an unknown coaching them right now. But he might not be an unknown for long. Look at how many coaches Temple has made.
Yep, I agree.
They've made a lot of coaches. There's an NFL coaches scattered around the league that coached at Temple.
Now, but I'm not gonna come out and say that we played well and Temple played well. I don't think we played great. I just don't. But I thought Temple played their heart out, and we got lucky on a couple of blocked interceptions, block punt, whatever the hell it was. And so look, we're 3-0. The cool thing for me is this: if you're a Rutgers fan out there, bear with me. I'll be brief. First of all, the over and under is 35.5. It's the lowest over and under on a college game since 2015. Do you know how long 7 years is in sports? That's incredible. Think about all the gambling.
And not only that, in college sports, it's not like there's 15 games a weekend. There's 100 games a weekend.
There's actually, I guess so. But the bottom line is, about 100 games. But I mean, 35 points, and it's legitimate. I think that's a good one because Iowa can't score. They've only scored 13 points all year.
And guess what? It didn't even sniff the over.
Right. So
and it's still the under was by 6 points in that one.
But I tell you what it does for Rutgers. Okay. It allows all week long for them to build up to this 7 p.m. game. I'm going with my daughter on Saturday night. It's the first Big Ten game. The weather's supposed to be beautiful under the lights. Please, if you're a Rutgers fan, get tickets. Go to this game. We're going to be 3-0. And the next game after this is Ohio State. So it's the death chamber is coming. But you know what? Maybe in the first quarter, it's only 3-3, 3-0, national television. It's a big deal. Rutgers needs to build on things like this. It's important. They're doing a Rutgers community thing. There's going to be all kinds of first responders there and people and different, all the Rutgers community is going to be there. It's going to be all kinds of stuff.
Is that the boardwalk thing?
The boardwalk thing will be there every week. A couple of things I want to point out. I'm going to promote another website. There's a website, all you college football fans out there, really, and Chris, you should check this out too for your show. There's a website called MasseyRatings.com. And in that, if you go over, they have a page on there, cumulative. And what it is, there's 39 college football polls. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did actually. Okay. We were talking about this yesterday with Kyle.
And what's really cool about this, you got to click on the right-hand side. You'll see it. It says like cumulative or all the polls together. They have a thing and they rank all the teams with all the polls together. I think that's great because some of the polls, though, are like me and you can come out with a poll that just says, how many times does the team score at the beginning of the half down by, like some of the polls are a little stupid, but still it adds them all up. And it's really, now Rutgers is ranked, like 75th, and Temple and BC are ranked 122 and 97. So we clearly haven't played anybody. And in the next 9 games, we play 5 teams in that cumulative poll that are in the top 25. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and one other team I'm forgetting. So that is going to be a brutal.
But look, that Penn State defense is very good.
And well, listen, we're 3-0. You know what? You just got to go. You got to get 3 wins now. You're 3-0. You got to go 3-6. The 3 possible wins, and all these teams are better than us, are Indiana, Maryland, and probably Nebraska and Iowa. So those are the 4 games that I think are, when I say winnable, that means they're not the death chamber. It's not Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, all that stuff. They're winnable. And Minnesota's good too. That's the other death chamber game. So Rutgers has got to win 3 of those 4. Is that possible to go 6-6? Of course it is. And we're catching Iowa on a down year. It's that simple. But I think Iowa's defense is stifling, and it's possible we get shut out. If Rutgers loses like 16-0, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But hey, go to the game. We're alive and well, 3-0. You know what the best thing is? We're 3-0, and we are still alive to play in the national championship. Can't deny, Chris. If we run the table, we play Alabama for the title. That could be over by around 7:45 p.m. on Saturday. But until then, it's 3-0. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. And that leads us to another crazy thing. Of course, in the NFL, the football Giants are on the air. My 2-0 Giants. Now, listen, they could be 0-2. I watched the game. That was another rough game. Like, I'm watching all these games. It's a beautiful thing. And both of my teams look shitty, but they're winning. And in the NFL, we've discussed this. In the NFL, because, I'm not a big fan of the way the NFL game is now. I think so many of the games, there's so many fumbles, penalties, bad play. I think it's all over the place. The only thing that's exciting is the actual score. So the Jet game was wild. The Cowboy game was wild, only because the score is close. And if that's the purpose of the NFL, that's fine. But when you actually watch the games, bad football, if you ask me. I think they don't have enough time, not enough preseason games, and rightly so. They don't have enough scrimmages, all the new rules with hitting. I just think the game is poorly played. There's so many penalties. All you do is see the ref. Like, I'm starting to know refs by face now. It's like crazy. But a lot of the games this weekend were exciting. But the Giants are 2-0. Their offense, the kicker won the game. This guy, was hitting like 50-yard bombs all over the place. But listen, you're 2-0, and really what that means is if you get blown out the next 2 weeks, like the Giants lose 70-0 the next 2 weeks, okay? What that means is if they win one game, they're 3-2, and they're very much alive for a wild card. And if you're the Giants, that's why in the past the Giants lost a lot of these games, these close games. And you're 0-2. I mean, yes, you can make the playoffs if you're a really good team. But if you're an average team or a new coach team and you're 0-2, your odds of making the playoffs are slim. It's just the way it is. If the Packers were
400 teams have started this season 0-2, something around 400, and only 12 or less. Something less than 12.
Listen, unless you're like Tom Brady and the Buccaneers or the Packers. If the Packers were 0-2, I'd be like, all right. I'm not counting them out. But when your team is kind of lousy the year before, going 0-2, so I'm happy with the 0-2. I think Giants are going to be in trouble. Listen, Parsons comes into town. The Giant O-line is rough. He's already got 4 sacks. So that means he's on pace for 34 sacks. But I believe Cooper Rush is going to come back down to earth. And I think the Giants are going to upset the Cowboys. I refuse to believe the Cowboys are going to be that hot. I thought Cooper Rush had a decent game. But if Parsons, man, I hope if he doesn't tweak a hamstring or something, he's going to wreak
havoc. No question about it.
Put it this way. I know sometimes NFL teams prepare for guys, and sometimes they don't have the great game you think, but they may triple team him. So what I'm most worried about is it wouldn't surprise me if they shut down Parsons. What would surprise me, what about the guy who's on single coverage all game? He could show up and get a million sacks or something like that. So, but I don't know, for some reason, I think the Giants are going to win this game. I don't know why, based on nothing. Also, it was kind of funny
based on the fact that they played 2 really horrific quarters of football defensively, and then the last 6 quarters, the Giants have been lights out defensively. It was against,
so we don't,
and
the Cowboys don't score at will.
And what does Dallas bring to the table offensively? It's going to be a good game. Look, rivalry, it lines up. Yep. I'm happy about that. We're getting a 2-0 Giant team with something to play for.
Should be fun. Of course, and we're doing the show next Tuesday, so we'll be able to talk about it. That's a new thing. We're going to drop our show live on Tuesdays now because of what's going on over there. Mojo and the Tuesday may work for me. Now, the best, so I'm looking forward to that. So now it's time for, sponsored by the NFL Stinks List, which I always have fun with this. Chris, you never agree with it, but I know I'm right. And it's sponsored by cornholelevel.com. Mike Caprio, my second baseman. Now listen, this gadget is awesome. If you like cornhole and you have something in the backyard and you're trying to always shimmy everything, you get this cornhole level, you throw it on the thing, and it totally levels out the board. Chris, you don't want to embarrass yourself by having a backyard party and have your cornhole boards all on an angle. Don't you think that would be embarrassing?
It ain't going to happen in my backyard. I can tell
you work for Chop Sports and people go to your house and they bring like shitty wine and cheap beer. And then they see the cornholelevel.com thing. And it's not, you have to get involved. Now you put this product on the hole there, you balance it out to and fro, up and down. It's awesome. And if you type in JP Show or Chop Sports, you get 20% off your entire order. They're only $19.95 for a pair, which goes on each board. You got to check these things out. Mike just signed up for another 3 months. Cornholelevel.com is a cool thing, and they sponsor my NFL Stinks List. All right, here we go. AFC East, Dolphins are good. The Bills, good. New England Patriots stink. I watched a little bit of that game. They stink. The New York Jets, average. Now, this whole division, AFC North, Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Bengals, stink, 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 stink. AFC South, Jacksonville Jaguars moved up to average. Texans, Colts, and Titans, they all stink. God, those teams stink. AFC West, I'm going to keep the Chiefs at very good. My boy Pacheco there, kicking ass for the Chiefs, Rutgers guy. Chargers, I'm going to remain at average. Denver Broncos, from stinks up to average. The Vegas Raiders stink. I don't care. They do stink. They're 0-2. New York Giants are going to hold at average for the second time. That's never happened. Philadelphia Eagles, average. They play tonight. Washington Commanders, stink. Dallas Cowboys, upgraded from stink to average. Minnesota Vikings, average. Packers, I had them at stinks. I knew that was temporary. I reserved the right to have a temporary stinks. I did that to the Packers. And Packers are now upgraded to average. Detroit Lions, upgraded to average. But, of course, don't get high on your Green Bay Packers, because the team that really stinks, they're getting the RS, really stinks, is the Chicago Bears. That team's bad. So I don't give any really – that's like Packers beating them is like Rutgers beating Wagner. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, very good. New Orleans Saints, average. Panthers stink. Falcons stink. Niners, average. Rams, average. Seattle Seahawks stink. And the Cardinals are average. That's how we go with that. So we have 14 teams stink. That's up from 13. We have 14 averages, 2 goods, and 2 very goods. It's really weird. The good one is always hard. That's the hardest one because it's tough to be. You're either average, very good, so that's how the good's always going to be lower. But only two very good teams, and they are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll see how this changes week to week, and it will change. I'm sure the Packers are headed towards, becoming very good eventually. Rodgers had a decent game. Bears stink though, bro. Come on now. And that's it. I love the fact that the Giants are playing the Cowboys twice and the Packers. That gives us food for just to have some fun. So that's it. NFL stinks list. I'm getting the feeling you didn't quite disagree with all of them. Some of them, but not, some teams just stink, bro.
I disagree with a lot of them because I think a lot of this early season stuff is there's some teams that dealt with some guys out this week that'll be back. The Ravens don't stink. They looked really good in the first half, and their secondary was really mangled. They had 4 starters out the whole game. The fact that they held up as well as they did early was a surprise to me. So I'm going to give the Ravens the pass because of the injury. The Colts dealt with a lot of injuries too, and they just haven't won in Jacksonville in like a decade, which is crazy to me. Even Peyton Manning wasn't winning in Jacksonville. 7 straight the Colts lost in Jacksonville.
That's unacceptable. So
you stink.
Yeah, well, listen, but listen, the Colts stink, bro. I mean, come on now.
They tied the Texans. I
just found out that my buddy Vinny just said the Giants are favored. How are the Giants favored against the Cowboys?
The Giants. Well, Cooper Rush.
The spread's got to be what, 1?
I think they were favored this week too until kickoff. The Giants were favored early.
All right, we're moving on. My stinks list is what it is. I stand by it. The research I do for that takes me minutes. So I go through it. I just go by, watch the red zone, who stinks. So this week I did I did stand-up in Ramsey on Saturday night in a big backyard for the Ramsey girls softball team. It was nuts because I had my daughter and she wanted to go over a friend's house to hang out, but I was afraid, like, I'm going to be at the show and blah, blah, blah. You're not going to believe this, Chris, as you lift your head up to listen to me. The house where I did it in this big backyard, okay, my daughter's friend's house was the house right next door. What are the odds of that? I mean, literally, where, like, if she opened up the window, she could hear the show. So her and her 3 friends that constantly came out and peeked in it. Now, I do adult comedy, not X-rated comedy, but, I got potty mouth. But her and her 3 friends were way in the back, sneaking in, checking me out. I think she got a kick out of seeing her dad up there getting laughs. But we had a really nice show. They raised a lot of money. We had Gene Trifolo, the comedian, did a wonderful job. And Mike Morse, the other comedian who used to open up for Lisa Lampanelli for years. And plus my buddy and one-time guest here, Father Paul, he did a quick 5 minutes. He's got a big show. He actually does stand-up for parishes and stuff. He was a little rusty, but he got through it. He got some laughs, and people really got a kick out of seeing a priest do stand-up, which is unique. And we're going to be trying to work together and get his stuff tighter and tighter, so it should be pretty fun. But he did well as well. People got hammered. There's no doubt about that. People were half in the bag. Outdoor party. The weather was beautiful. It was good. But you know what? I was happy. I did local material, and I literally went on so long busting Ramsey's chops that I only did like probably 25 minutes of my own stuff. So that was fun for me. But big shout out to Bobby Corcoran, and thanks, Bobby, for not. I get a big shout out to Bobby for not letting me, limiting me anything I could say on stage. He said, "Do whatever you want," and that meant a lot. So I didn't have to worry about what I said. And that was that. It's like a Ramsey week for me. I don't know. But now listen, Chris, you don't have kids. Anybody who has kids is going to get this. I went to parent teachers night on Wednesday. Do you know what that is?
Come on.
I don't know.
I am a human.
Okay.
I don't have
kids. But did they have it? They didn't quite have this when we were in school the way they do now.
They maybe not to the extent that they do now.
No.
But
number one,
I remember going into school 27 on Pennsylvania Avenue and getting like from the day after parent teacher, my mother would leave like $1 in my desk or something cool like that. So I remember it definitely.
Well,
they did it.
I remember in St. John's they had it, but it was like part of the PTA or PTO.
And shame on you. And shame on you for grouping me into when we were kids. We were not kids when you were a kid. So that don't go that route. Come on.
Okay. By the way, you're 40 now, so you're in the you're in the club now. Now you didn't get a drink yet. You didn't take off your jacket yet, but you're in the if I'm sitting in the club, I go, oh, Chris is here. I just saw him. He just walked in. Okay. Or the valet certainly has your car. No doubt about it. Of course, Dave Sturcho, he does not. He's not even clean. Well, although he's definitely brushing his teeth, getting ready to go out. But anyway, yes. All right. So I'm older than you. We all know that. But listen, what they do is you get 6 minutes and you go around to your daughter's schedule. But the thing that made me laugh, the teacher starts to talk and then they ring the bell. Like there's no time to get all the teachers of, parents are bullshitting in the hallway. But the thing that made me laugh, I was dressed like I was ready to paint. Okay. But some of the women that were dressed for this thing, I mean, it was like they were at DJs on a Saturday in the summer. I mean, it was like skirts and high heels. And I'm looking around going, what's going on here? Even some of the guys were dressed nice. Guys were wearing cologne. Like, what's going on? It's a Wednesday night in Ramsey. I had a pair of jeans on.
It's like a singles mixer over there.
But they were husband and wives. You didn't know. Of course, you didn't know who was single.
What time? What time was it? What time was it at?
It was like prime time, 7:30 on a Wednesday.
So maybe
night.
they're just coming home from work.
No, dude. There's a difference between work clothes and going out clothes. Okay, that's not. I'm not that old.
Everyone works remote now, anyway.
Of course, everybody's younger than me because I had kids late. It was just nuts to me. But of course, one of my daughter's teachers. First thing I see is a Rutgers thing on his desk. My daughter told me he's a big Rutgers fan. So I immediately started. He went to Rutgers. So I immediately but also I think it becomes a little bit of a mob thing. When you go to parent teachers, like some of the science teachers and math teachers, I really wanted to go up. And my sister checking in here on the chat room. Hi, Mayor. How you doing? I got Vinny and my sister in here. But some of the people, it's like a mob. Like I feel like going up to the teacher with like $500 and say, hey, teach, listen, Natalie Palumbo, I want no problems. It's like you're saying hello to the teacher, but is that grade thing in your head? Like, hey, I'm Jimmy Palumbo. I'm Natalie's dad. Everything all right? Any problems, you come to me first. I said to myself, if you had like $3,000, I could probably get my daughter straight A's. Just go up and say, listen, I'll meet you at the bar. I got your back. You know what I mean? Don't worry about nothing. But some of then there's like French class. And to me, the teachers look younger and more vibrant than the old people we had. Maybe just I'm older now. I'm older than the teachers.
No, the teachers are definitely younger across the board.
It's so wrong what we just said, but it seems that way to us. Teachers are teachers. You graduate college and you go get a job. But my sister was a teacher, although my sister's not old at all. I say that because she's watching me live right now. But parent teachers night. And then, people go to the bar afterwards, people getting ripped. I'm like, I love this town. Ramsey likes to go out and have a good time. If I run for mayor, I'm definitely going to put my headquarters is going to be right outside of Ramsey Liquors. That's where you see everybody. I think we got to bring up one thing. Another thing, clearly, I watched the Queen's funeral today. It was on in the background. I know you were busy. You didn't watch it. But I tell you, the unbelievable amount of pomp and circumstance and the regal stuff was, this thing was, first of all, I heard it was planned out for the last 20 years. There was probably a big leather binder.
I just wanted to say that I would not have watched it if I had nothing. No,
well, listen, if something you click on CNN or Fox and you just see it, it was a very big, and we're not on the air on Facebook, according to my sister. Once again, I've been very, very good to my social media expert. But for the second week in a row, we are not live on Facebook. I don't know why. It says it on the thing. So I'm going to have to give her a bunch of shit. If she's listening, she's going to hear from me. But I think we're on live on LinkedIn and I believe YouTube. That's where my sister's coming from. So I don't know what happened to Twitter or Facebook. And of course, Facebook is my biggest fan base. So God bless. Maybe the show will be on after it's live. But the Queen's funeral, unbelievable. Listen, but I'm glad it's over. I feel like the Queen died 4 months ago. All right. And I love the fact because she was there for so long and King Charles is he's already in his 70s. And I'm thinking to myself, what if he lives like another 20 years, right? Like, I just get the feeling all this regality and like old school stuff, which is kind of cool. You don't see it anymore. I swear to God, Chris, I think 20 years from now, it's going to be like, it's going to look like ESPN Game Day, where it's going to be like, good evening, everybody. Jimmy Palumbo alongside Chris Gucci, downtown Windsor Castle. Well, today we bid adieu to King Chuck. Of course, Charles was 20 years, and his mother, Betty, before him, she had a whole offensive line and years of experience. And I got to tell you, Chuck comes in, absolutely no offensive line. You got Harry and Marco. They got divorced twice. You got Williams trying to hang on. Didn't realize he married way above his grade with Kate. The kids are a mess. They're all on Twitter and TikTok and Snapchat. And I don't know what's going on here, but and the whole thing's going to last a half hour. Everybody's going to be dressed like they're at Great Adventure. And it's going to be like, that'll do it. His casket is in. We'll be right back. Anyway, I just think we're going to lose all this. They're going to have.
He had to wait. I feel like he's like 100 now already, right? He had to wait.
Right. He had to wait since he was like 4. He's like waiting around. It's just funny. We're going to cut to Pam Oliver right outside the casket. Pam, what do you have? And of course, she'll look like, she'll look like Aretha Franklin by then.
She'll look hammered.
But, she'll be hammered on taking something. But I just hope that there's part of me. I have no skin in the game. I'm not from England. My mother's a huge fan. She already took notes for her funeral. My mother called me afterwards and said, Jimmy, I took some notes of things I want done at my funeral. I said, Ma, it's not going to happen. We'll be at Goslin. The whole thing will be over in an hour and a half. But it was just funny to watch all that. And how about this? In the funeral, in the church there in St. George's Chapel, how to get that right? There's like 2 rooms. I don't know if you saw it. There's like one room where where the king is and the casket. Then there's like a little door and there's like this back room. But if you're in that back room, it's clearly you're like in the back room and you can't even see the casket because the door is only like 4 foot wide. And I'm saying to myself, how pissed off would you be if you were in the first row of the back room, like, oh, almost got in.
Oh, so the story of my life.
Yeah, right. Then I started thinking, I was like, my God, this is again, this show's all about Rutgers. It's just like exactly what Rutgers is in the Big Ten. Like in the front room is Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, all the good teams. And in the back room is Maryland, Northwestern, Rutgers, Indiana.
And you guys get to trade places season by season on who's in the front row of the back room.
Right, you're trying to get it like,
can I peek in this season? That's it.
Indiana, Rutgers, like, you know what? If Charles lives another 5 years, we might get in the back row.
You got Indiana basketball talking to their basketball team like, hey, guys, what's it like?
And I feel bad. They also have the bagpipe guy who's the Queen's personal bagpipe guy. And every day he plays out her window, whether or not she's there or not, which is funny. It's
Say
like
fire
playing in front of, but you know what he's saying to his wife? He's like, honey, we got to batten down the hatches. Things are going to get tight around here. I don't think William or Charles are going to, maybe Charles will want to hear it every day. But
new regime, he's going to bring in his own people. He's like, I got my own bagpipe guy. Sorry.
What if every time Charles was at the castle and he heard the bag and he didn't like the way it sounded, he's like, as soon as my mother's gone, I'm totally getting a new guy in.
If this was like anything like House of Dragons, there's somebody that's like trying to get in the pocket of the bagpipe player,
trying to get in.
Say,
right?
Hey, look,
and
maybe we could. I'm gonna get dark. We're just gonna skip that joke.
So listen, the bottom line is, by the time like when William takes over, I think there's gonna be some like the guitarist from Molly Hatchet's gonna be doing like a lead every day of God Save the King. It's gonna be a guitar player with a little shitty amp out front. I just think the whole thing's gonna go to shit. She held it together for 70 years. Anyway, it was cool to watch. So God, listen, my mother was 13. She's my daughter's age when the lady took over, so I got to give her credit. I also, I've been watching some TV shows. And of course, this segment is sponsored by Pine Tar Bar and Grill. That's right. Pine Tar Bar and Grill, 121 South Main Street, Forked River, New Jersey, 609-489-4286. They're open from 11:30 a.m. to close. They got all the games. Chris, you got to go to this place. They have more TVs. They got everything. If you're ever heading down to LBI or further south, they got everything down there. They got karaoke, beer pong, indoor, outdoor. They got darts. My buddy Tommy owns the joint. PineTarBarandGrill.com. Go check it out. My dad's photos are hanging on the wall that hung in his house in Colonia for 50 years. My sister went this week on her way back from Cape May, and she got a little teary-eyed seeing my dad's stuff up there, which is kind of cool. Really cool bar, beautiful. It's big, it's nice, TVs all over the place.
There's a small piece of Chop Sports hanging there as well. If you remember the beer league poster that you gifted us, and then so kindly took back and gifted.
Well, I had a decision to make. Where would you want to have a beer league poster hanging? In front of Chop Sports, which spends at least 45 seconds promoting my show during the week.
And
should it hang?
Do you know what else? It was standing outside the shitter too. Like it was
and you put it outside the bed. Now he's got it in the main room. Only thing is, it's got a picture of a lady's legs wearing lace. So if you go in there with your grandmother, you sit down, you have dinner over a pair of legs from Beer League. But yes, the Beer League poster is hanging there. Go check it out. And they sponsor my TV watching thing. I started watching Cobra Kai. Did you dabble at all? I know you had a crazy week. You probably did.
I didn't dabble in the new ones, but I'm pretty well versed on the happenings of the dojo.
I love Ralph Macchio, and Ralph Macchio is actually coming to Ridgewood, New Jersey, at a book signing on October 26th. I'm definitely going to go there and bust his balls. You know what? I hated the first episode. I was like, wow, I know that show can be cheesy, but this was like extra cheese. You know what I mean? I was like, well, where's this show going? But you know what? Episode 2 and 3 totally hooked you in. And you know what's great? This show, all these like deep shows that are on the air where you actually got to get off the edge of your couch to watch them. You know what's great about Cobra Kai? I can watch it with my daughter. It's light. It's fun. They tackle some subjects that are deep, but like it's all surface stuff. It's light. It's airy. It's fun. It's the only show on TV that a 57-year-old and an 11-year-old can watch. And to me, that's where the market is right there. Like, that's incredible. You can do that. It's nostalgic, but it's also kind of current. Got a bunch of young kids running around that'll probably be all stars. You can see how they're getting older now, though. Like, the kids are definitely not in high school.
And what happens when you have those types of casts is that a lot of times kids aren't even close to the same age, and then like all of a sudden the young one looks like he's 5 years older than the older.
Right. That's exactly the young kid. His young son is now like, looks like a normal human being instead of being just a young little kid. But it's a fun show, and check out Cobra Kai. It's a big hit and everybody loves it. So that being said, now, which brings me to you mentioned it, House of Dragons, or I just call it. Doesn't everybody just call it Game of Thrones? No one calls it House of Dragons. Just Game of Thrones.
The new Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's all it is. No spoilers here. I wouldn't do that to you because some people don't watch it till a couple of days later. Again, I don't know. Did one of the writers from Cobra Kai, is he working for House of Dragon? I think the show is cheesy. I think it's boring. And if it wasn't Game of Thrones, I don't know if I would have stuck around. To me, it looks like it was shot on an iPhone. I don't even think the acting's that great. There's a couple of big dramatic scenes that have happened in the first 3 episodes that to me are not that dramatic. Whereas in the first one, when something went down in that first season, I mean, you're talking about the lead guy was killed, episode 5? What the hell's his name? I can't even think of the family in the show. It's slipping my mind, but he gets killed right away. I mean, and there's that wedding scene where everybody goes. I mean, I just think
the red wedding, unbelievable.
The red wedding.
Nobody was safe on Game of Thrones, which was what the whole appeal was.
And I think I'm on. What are we on? 7 or 8, or maybe not 5 or 6 of these things now. I don't know. I think the show is so popular amongst the original show that everybody's so happy to be. You know what it's like? It's like when a really cool old bar and grill, right, that you've been going to since you were a kid, with the dirty floor and the good pizza and the good shitty burgers, and the guy's got like the pickles on the bar and stuff like that, old school, no windows, where you go to die, you go to drink. You got one TV in the corner for the Giant game only, that kind of thing. And then they renovate it, and it's bigger and it's nicer and the tables are better, and you go there. And it sucks because the reason why you went to the old place was the shittiness of it. I don't know. I think have you watched any of the episodes?
I've seen the first part of the first episode and I was like, oh, it looks the same. But then in like 30 minutes in, I was like, I fell asleep and I haven't gotten back to it. I put it on late after we talked last week because I hadn't watched it the last time we talked about it.
You know what?
I just fell asleep.
You know what I think they got to do? They got to do like an Eli Manning, Peyton Manning thing where while you're watching the show, there should be graphics that come up and say, okay, now this guy is the great, great, great grandfather of a character from
like I would be okay. I could probably do that.
But you know what happens? You're watching it and they show a castle or an area and you're like, wait a minute. Is that Castle Rock? Is that like, you're watching the show. So they only show it for 3 seconds. Like, wait a minute. Which family owns this? Who owns that? There should be little blurbs on the side. Okay, everyone. Now this castle with a few additions 170 years later becomes blank. I swear, you know what? I bet someone's going to do that online. They're going to have like
it's already
explaining,
happening. 100%. There's a subreddit page for House of Dragons, also, no doubt about it.
They also talk really fast about major plot points. You don't know what's going on. This one ended okay, but I don't know. I'll stick with it because that's what we do. I'm a fan of that junk, and they still have dragons. So to me, once you see the dragons, that's what it's all about. But I have I got some cool gigs coming up. Still got to get you to see a show. I'm doing, let's see, next Friday night, I'm at Silvio's in Warwick, New York. It's a really nice restaurant up in Warwick, New York. Any of my North Jersey brethren, take a ride up there. It's about a half hour away. I'm doing stand-up in Scotch Plains Thursday at Comedy on the Green at Green Park in Scotch Plains. It's free show. Come check it out. I think I'm hosting or opening there. I got a show on October 1st. Now, how crazy is this? I'm doing a show October 1st at Stand Up New York. They got to do some interviews before at like 2:00. And then the show starts at 7. But if Rutgers beats Iowa, I told the guy, like, at 3:30, if we're 4-0 playing Ohio State, I at least have to watch the kickoff of the Ohio State-Rutgers game because he's like,
the game will be over 2 plays
later. Well, that's
later.
what I'm saying. He said to me, oh, Jimmy, how long's the game? I go, oh, no. The game's 3 hours, but my enjoyment could only last, I don't know, 4 minutes, depending on TV timeouts or something like that, or an injury. So, like to me, if Rutgers gets a first down on the first drive, that's the game is way longer than it's ever been. So I'm going to be doing that, but the show is actually at 7:00. They're doing some pre-production stuff. There's a bar next door. So what are the odds on me either A, making the guy put the TV on Big Ten Network, which they probably don't have in a comedy club, or me running over to the nearest bar to watch my Scarlet Knights. But I'm doing a show at Stand Up New York. Come out. It's going to be pretty cool. It's a taping. I don't know if you're working Saturday night, Chris. It's a taping of a bunch of comedians, and they're going to be streaming stuff for a show, which is pretty cool. I'm also doing the Comedy Cove in Springfield, New Jersey. Maybe you can catch that one. It's on Friday and Saturday night, Springfield, New Jersey. My first time headlining there. That ought to be fun. And I'm also going to be at for my North Jersey brethren in Oakland, New Jersey at Portobello's for Unico, which is a big Italian-American society thing. Come check out. That's a really tight show. I got Bobby Gonzo and Joseph Anthony as my feature. And it's weird because Joseph Anthony's probably better than me. I used to open up for him. Now because I'm a local hire here, he's got to open for me, but I throw a few extra bucks, so you'll be happy with that. And then November 1st, of course, I'll be in Ohio for my buddy of mine's baseball team there, doing a little fundraiser in Ohio. Dude, I had some big auditions last week, one for a De Niro film. I didn't hear anything yet. Praying for that. It's a nice role too, which is cool. I have a getting involved callback in about an hour from now, less than an hour, really.
I was actually about to put my wrist up and say, "Hey, you gotta get ready, buddy."
We got it ready for that. I have a big callback for a commercial, which I can't mention what it is, but man, these commercials are big. That'd be really nice. And then I got to audition after that for a new TV show that's already coming on the air. I think it's called East New York, but I can't really go into detail about any of these. But it sucks because you go when you don't have any auditions. Doing the stand-up's good. I'm making some good money now, but it's these TV and film gigs are the ones that what it's like. It's like field goals. It's like stand-up comedy's a field goal. You're 3 in the death. But a TV gig, they're touchdowns. So when you get to callbacks and you get inside the 5, you got to punch it in. You know what I mean? And so you're frustrated when you have no auditions. And then you're frustrated when you strike out, when you do play. So you walk back to the bench. You always feel like the coach is like, all right, asshole, I put you in a game and you struck out. You know what I mean? That's how I always look. I always look at my career in sports because really it is like a lot of it's a game. People talk about the journey and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't believe in that theory. You audition, you book it, you're in.
I want to talk about my at-bats.
Yeah, see, you like doing that, not me. I'm like, oh, I got an at bat. It was a great pitch. I stuck the bat out. It flew over the third baseman's head. I took.
Oh no, I struck out. I strike out in my at bats too. I'm only batting about 260 tops. I'm dangerously cruising towards
Well, listen,
Giancarlo
it's like
territory.
It's like this Mojo thing. Okay, if 10 weeks from now you guys do a great job on Mojo, but the whole app goes away. You could say, what a cool thing. You guys got so, but you know what? The game, you lost. You know what I mean? Maybe it had nothing to do with you. I would rather have you guys like win the game, get on, start making some big money, blah, blah, blah. And maybe your show gets moved to midnight, or it doesn't matter though. You got the win. Yeah. Getting the win in showbiz is so critical. I know you're supposed to improve and do
right now. It's like trying to equate it to sports and baseball, particularly. You get drafted by Major League Baseball. That means nothing. I mean, it's cool, but then you get to go middle in the minor leagues for 5 years and like actually see if you're a major league player from that point. So, that's kind of, maybe I'm drafted. I'm like a high school prospect, but like I'm the oldest one ever. The oldest.
Like, what would you rather be? I guess, how do I word it? Would you rather, I guess the money would dictate that. Would you rather be 6 years in the minor leagues because they make a little bit more money now, or would you rather be someone 2 years in the major leagues? You got to take the 2 years. What am I saying?
Give me 2 years.
I was trying to make an analogy. I'd take one.
If we're looking back,
I just said it was stupid.
If you get 2 years in the majors, that means that you did something right somewhere along the way in the majors.
But what if it was one of those like all the guys the Yankees just brought up? By the way, we didn't discuss the Yankees, which we'll do briefly. I'll do it right now. First of all, some of the Yankee players that were brought up this week are not ready for prime time. I got to give my boy Stanton. The Yankees got to make a decision there. He's in Joey Gallo territory. Big problem there. He's batting like 209. But listen, it's all about Aaron Judge. I mean, this guy, this guy is just, he's got 59 home runs. He's on pace, and maybe you know this. Did Bonds and all these guys, the old record is 60 in 154 games. He's at 146. So he's got 8 games to tie what Ruth did. Did Bonds do that? Did he hit 60 before the 154?
Yeah, Bonds hit 73. So
yeah, so he had. So Bonds
he didn't have 13.
Player.
The best season that anyone's ever going to see ever was Barry Bonds that year.
Right, but I'm saying, how many games in did he have 60? Do you know that?
I don't know offhand, but I'm
going to find that out. But listen, if Judge, he's got 59, which is great because now, if you think about it, any game now, a player could always hit 2 to tie it, or even 3 to take, to win it. So I always wanted them to get close enough where now at least going into the final weekend, so he could like not hit a home run for the next 13 games, and going into the final weekend. You can't say
it's on now. Yeah,
it's on.
You ready for this
though?
Friday, the game is against the Red Sox, and it's on Apple TV. So unless you're an Apple TV subscriber, you can't even watch the Yankee game. And Judge could be going for the record.
That's what life is. I have Apple TV. You know what? There's ways to buy Apple TV.
Yeah, here's what's gonna happen. Apple TV is like, everyone's like, that's so messed up. How could they do that? And they're like, no. That's exactly why we did it. Because now everybody's going to subscribe to Apple TV.
Yeah, I know it's a pain in the ass. I agree. But listen to it on the radio. It's more exciting anyway. But Yankees, though, I tell you, I don't know. I don't recall any of my teams limping in. Like, I don't think the Yankees are going to win a playoff game. I just don't. I think they're barely going to win a division. And but they'll probably, odds are they'll make it.
The Yankees just swept the Red Sox. They won the Yankees are on the up. Brewers are good. I
get it. Listen. Is this something? Listen, I know we're both Yankee fans, and I know we sound stupid.
It's not as bad as it was in July. It's not as good as it was. We talked about it last week. They're not the team they were in June.
You know who stinks? You know who stinks? The guy Holmes. I don't know what. Yeah. I don't know what he took. What he ingested in the first 2 months of the season when he was the greatest relief pitcher of all time, April, May, and June. But he's never been good in the minor league because he walks people. And when you walk people and you're a closer, it's over. You just can't do that. His strikeout pitch is only a sinker. I don't know. I think he stinks. Chapman, I don't know. Chapman's actually hasn't been doing all that bad. I mean, Boone's got some awful decisions to make. Do you take out Stanton? I mean, the guy's batting 209 or something.
Maybe we
kick
the tires on Loizaga. I feel like he's starting to come together a little bit, and we get him back to form. That could be the secret ingredient. Yeah. But I don't know. That's asking a lot.
Even Rizzo came back in a home run, but these guys are batting averages are low. But you know what? I don't know. Cole
Giants are 2-0. Rutgers are 3-0. Yankees are in first place.
It's the first time in
first
time in a long time.
It's the Giants. Giants are 2-0. Yankees are.
Listen,
I get it.
I'm excited about the Giants. I actually watched the full Giant game yesterday. I even told my daughter, I was like, Nat, Daddy really hasn't sat down and watched the Giant game. I want to watch this whole game. I did. But the Yankees are they're troublesome. It's making me crazy. But you know what? We make the playoffs. We see what happens. Baseball's baseball. It's still my favorite sport. And well, listen, Chris, good luck on your show all week. Go check it out on the Mojo app.
Thank you very much.
What's it called again?
The Mojo Market. The Mojo Market Report.
Mojo Market.
Over on Mojo YouTube channel. You can check them out on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Mojo is going to be everywhere today. So.
Yep. All right. I'm going to check it out as soon as I get off. I'm also going to prep for my audition. And this is Jim Gordon alongside Dick Lynch. The football Giants are off the air. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening live, all three of you. And check out the podcast when it drops like today.